All right, welcome everybody to another episode of Insurance Tech Webinars by Accelerated Automation. Super excited to have Joe here with me from Sembley. We're going to be talking about another amazing way that you guys can really add efficiency to your agencies. And I don't know about you, but probably also alleviate a lot of your staff's frustration with some of the things they have to do every day. I know when I was an agent and we were filling out, accords and apps and all of this over and over and over, it was like the worst part of the job. So I know that's a lot of what you guys solve. So we're super excited to have you today and learn all about Sembley. And you guys even have some really cool updates that just recently happened. So even if you guys have checked them out in the past, it's not the same today. So thanks, Joe, for being here. Excited to have this discussion.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. I'm very excited to be here. Working with you guys has been fantastic, and some of the exciting updates that we have coming out, we can thank you guys for giving us some great input there. So as Mariah mentioned, I am Joe from Sembley, one of the co-founders. Essentially, what we've done is we've built a software that just helps alleviate the stress of having to deal with multiple Accord forms, multiple sub apps, the intake of data, and just really that being a very fragmented process right now. That's all over the place. You're gathering data on the phone, on an email, on maybe a jot form, and then you got to copy that back and forth. We're trying to simplify that process of combining that all into one place and having a single source of truth to populate that data everywhere, with the help of also integrations, putting it to where it needs to go after assembly. So happy to show you guys a little bit more on that today.
Awesome. Awesome. I love it. Well, can you, before we kind of jump full in, can you give me a little bit about you, your background, like how you got into insurance tech?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So I come from a long line of insurance agents. So my dad was is still an agent. He's still kicking. He's not given up that book of business yet. My uncle is also an agent, and then my grandfather worked in an insurance office as well. So I have insurance in my blood. I initially didn't want to go into the industry. I went into finance and thought that's what I was going to do, and then as it happens for a lot of people who grow up with family agencies, you get pulled in eventually. So I got pulled into the insurance world. I worked as an agent for a while, and then I went and I worked carrier side for one of Chubb's subsidiaries as a regional manager out of their Philly office. And that was when I had met Jeremy and came in as a co-founder at Sembley. So Jeremy, our CEO and our main founder, he had built a startup that dealt with something similar, a similar issue in the legal space when it came to immigration law. So he saw an opportunity with Accord forms and sub apps and this whole crazy process of filling out these forms and getting that data, where it could be improved with the software for insurance. So I had come in alongside him, and we wanted to solve the problem of making life easier on the agents and also on the business owners who are actually filling out questionnaires at renewal and having to get that information back over. And it's been almost 2 years now, and we've had pretty crazy ride here. It's been a lot of fun and met a lot of really great people like yourself, and a lot of the agents that we've even met through you guys along the way. So that's kind of how I got into this, and how we've gotten started here.
That's awesome. I love it. Wow, what a journey though, like to go, from that generational agency into technology. It seems that some of the best solutions for insurance agents just really do come out of insurance agents, right? It's at least from what I have seen, the insurance carriers and the kind of the big dogs in the space, they seemed to have decided to kind of like, oh, what we have is good enough. That's what it feels like. At least when I was an agent, it felt like they kind of stopped innovating, like maybe in the 90s, because when I got into it, that's what the technology felt like. It felt like it was built in the 90s.
Yeah.
And I started in 2014. So then, there's these agents, there's people that are living in the industry and doing this work every day and finding these problems and deciding to solve them. And that's
Yeah.
really exciting because who better to build solutions than the people that are going to have to use them all day?
Exactly. I think it gives a very unique perspective to be able to talk to a prospect or a client on a call and say, oh, that exact issue that you're going through and you're trying to solve right now, I have been in your shoes. I know how much of a headache it is. And I bet you're also dealing with this. this is hopefully how we can help. And if you have any ideas, throw them at us because we're all ears, because there are new problems popping up like every year with these types of things. So it's cool being on the other side of things and being able to help provide those solutions to the people that have dealt with the same problems I had for years and years.
Yeah, no, definitely. So, so you said that you met Jeremy and you decided to start solving this problem. What did that look like in the first, few months, like the leading up into Assembly kind of kicking out?
Yeah. The early stage, I can't take too much credit for the for some of the innovation because Jeremy really had built a very solid platform and spoke with a lot of people in the industry leading up to things. But I mean, coming into it, it was definitely a lot of trial and error and seeing, okay, well, we've got this, but it's not good enough. We've got to add this now. And then you add one thing and okay, well, now we need to add more sub apps and it's always adding more sub apps. And it's just, it was it was really a big process of growth and learning from the agents that we were speaking with of, okay, now we solved this issue. Let's jump to the next one. And I think it's always going to be that to some degree. There's always going to be something that can make the process easier. So I think it's just continuing to grow like we have from day one and adding things that are just going to make life easier for people.
Yeah, that's such a true statement when it comes to technology. I used to think that the insurance industry had a lot of changes, right? With all of the, insurance commissioners and the laws and the carriers and underwriting guidelines. And then you get into the tech space and it's like, it's a necessity. If you do not continue to solve problems for your users and improve and innovate, you literally become irrelevant, right? Like, I mean, eventually that happens. Like there's so many Accord systems out there that have existed for a long time, like decades, that if you looked at them today, you would say like, who would have ever purchased this? But they were cutting edge when they launched.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, I remember several of them. I'm not going to name names because I don't like to knock on anyone's tech. I totally get it. But there's so many products out there that have been built and then they sit on a shelf and they build them and then you never change them. And this is one of the things we look for when we're looking to recommend software systems or solutions to the agents that we talk to is this company continuing to innovate? What is their culture around innovation and solving problems? And what types of problems are they trying to solve? Are they trying to solve their own problems or do they get their agenda from their users? And that when we stay close to companies like that, and Sembley definitely aligns with this, they end up being the best solutions that our customers love so much because you're listening to their feedback.
Yeah. And I think we're at a very interesting time in insurtech, but just also in tech innovation overall, considering where we're at in this stage of AI, where it's not like, okay, we can't build this tool because the technology isn't there right now. Let's wait a year. It's let's wait a month and see what comes out and see what we're able to do this month, next month, as things are just rapidly changing. And I can speak from the standpoint of Sembley. There are things that we thought, hey, it might take us a few years to be able to do this, but then there's a new innovation that comes out in AI or some other source, and we bump up that timeline to, okay, now we can maybe do this in 2 months, which has been really cool to be able to have these ideas brought to us from agent and have to say, all right, give us some time. And then something comes out and it's all right, don't give us any time. We're going to be able to build this for you guys sooner than later. And we've been able to put out some really amazing features doing that. So as an insure tech, it's a very, very exciting time to be on this side of the table and just see consistent innovation just because of the growth that we've seen in this industry and in AI over the past few years.
Yeah, no, definitely. Things are moving faster than I think anybody can keep up with. We've had people that have said things to us like, we are having a hard time or we feel behind, but we feel behind with tech. And I'm like, dude, join the club. Everyone feels behind. Anyone who's saying like, we're at the cutting edge, the advancement, I just maybe in their niche, sure, that can be the case, but to try to wrap your head around all of these different ways that technology and AI can help your business, there's nobody that has all of those answers, right? So I think one day AI will have all those answers because it can store all the information.
Exactly.
So that will probably happen, but our limited human brains, there's only so much we can store. It's a lot. It's a really exciting time though, for sure. And it's that constant change, that constant innovation, but still staying close to the things that you have to do in your business every day, which Sembley is a core piece of that, right? Insurance is so paperwork heavy, or digital paperwork, if you want to call it that, heavy. Probably always going to be that way. Really excited to see you give us a demo, show us
Yeah,
what Sembley does, if you're ready
absolutely.
for that.
I am ready for that. I've been
Let's
thinking
do it.
about it
And
all
then
day.
for those of you that are here live, of course, if you can, I did open the chat so everyone can chat in there. If you have any questions at any time, please go ahead and ask those questions. Ashley said that we have an echo. Is Ashley the only one hearing that? Joe, do you have an echo?
I'm not hearing an echo right now. No,
I don't hear you echo. So if anyone else can maybe let us know in the chat, like if that's happening, but
it's fixed. She fixed it. All right.
that's good. Okay, it was an Ashley thing. All right. That's good. All right. So here is Sembley. I will let you take it from here. And you guys ask questions as we go.
Yes, feel free to ask me anything you want. I'm happy to pause and dive into any specific points. But what I wanted to do here today was I have my typical flow of how I go through things, but being that there are some exciting new things that Mariah has brought up that they've helped us with, the big one being our agency Zoom integration, I kind of want to angle a little bit towards that workflow here. So where I want to start off is with our custom intakes. So I'm sure that there are a lot of agents out there right now who are using Jotform or really any various source of intake software to gather information from clients, whether you're embedding that on a website or sharing links with clients. We've built something in Assembly here where you can build your own intakes here and really do whatever you want with them. That's why we call them the custom intakes. Now, when you're building these, we have templates that are available in our library. And for the most part, for each of these individual templates, they are pretty much plug and play, and you're going to be able to gather the information that you need, but you can also build these out from scratch as well. So I want to jump into one that I have set up here. It's kind of our go-to intake and show you what we can do with this. So it is very, very customizable in terms of the design and how you're setting this up. So we can pick different color schemes that we want to have here. I'm sure every agency has their own type of color that they like to include. You can choose if the tabs are going to be shown to your clients or not. And then really get into things with maybe building a little welcome page where you can embed information in here, embed links in there, videos if you want as well. I'm seeing that become more popular. Where it really gets exciting is the questions and how we're building these questions in. So you have the ability to make questions required. You can ask for subtitles. You can use conditional logic to build a flow of questions here, which is very popular with our agents. And then when you're adding these questions in, we have a variety of different question types. There's short answer, long answer, multiple choice, icon-based questions, address, multiple field. We have data validation with phone number, dollar amount, date, and email. And then my favorite part is this question bank. So this question bank is going to open it up to all of the questions that we have across all of the Accord forms and supplemental applications that are in Sembley. And what makes it so powerful is that the information that you gather using these questions will then be able to flow onto your Accord forms, onto your sub apps, pushed through integrations into different software. So we see agents embedding these on their websites and having that maybe general quick quote embedded in there. Someone fills out some information. Now you open up your 125, your 126. The information that you gathered is already going to be populated on there, just reducing the need to rekey that data over and over again. Now, when you share this, you have a couple of ways you can do that. One is going to be a link that we can copy and send out to a lead. You're also able to embed this into a website, and we're going to provide that embed code for you here. You just have to copy it to your clipboard and have your webmaster, or if you're savvy enough to do it yourself, paste that into your website, and it is pretty much ready to go. I'm going to give you an example of that and jump out of my account here and show you what that might look like if it was embedded in a site. So here's the exact one we were just looking at. I have this embedded in a sample site here. So we'll see it starts off that welcome, the background, the video. We have a website embedded in here. I see a lot of people liking to embed their calendar links in there, which is pretty cool. And then we'll jump into the questions. The way this one starts off, we have some conditional logic asking if it's a company or a person. Let's say this is a company called the Chicago Bulls, if anyone's heard of them. And then I'll make a little fake email here. and we can jump into the intake. And now the way I've set this one up is it's going to start off asking if you want personal or business insurance. Let's say they want business insurance because they're a business and they want commercial auto. And then we're going to roll out the necessary questions here for commercial auto, but they also have the option to make multiple choices. Let's say they want commercial property too. They can roll out the auto questions here and the commercial property questions. I'm not going to fill really anything out, and we'll submit this for review. And they will get a little pop-up here saying thank you for your submission. Now you'll get an email letting you know that that has been sent over and you have a new lead that came into Sembley. You'll also have a pop-up as an inbound in Sembley. But what I want to show you here is how this is going to factor in with your agency Zoom integration. So now we're going to see in our leads that new Chicago Bulls lead populate into agency Zoom, and then any action that you take on that moving forward, sending out additional intakes, people submitting additional intakes back, you're going to have notes put on there. And this is also going to allow for the flow of data back and forth, where you can push vehicles, drivers, some basic information back and forth between the systems that just allows everything to all work together. And jumping back into Sembley here, I'm going to start diving in a little bit more to what else we have to offer. So the first thing I want to show you is our dashboard that gives you an overview of everything we have going on here. So we'll see Chicago Bulls. We just entered that on that quote sheet, and they've populated as an insured and identified as an inbound as well. So we have our insureds most recently added here. We have our submissions most recently created, and then our activity logs giving us a breakdown of everything going on in the system. And then our inbounds that would be pulled in from intakes embedded on sites or sent out to leads. And then our submissions that are broken down by the statuses you've assigned to them there. Jumping over to the submissions page, we're going to have all the submissions that we have created for our various clients or prospects in here with our Accord forms and sub apps in them. So on the left-hand side, we have the name. You can label these whatever it makes sense to label it. Then you have your insured, the company you're working with. The access would be the person from that company that you might have shared questions with. And then the statuses here that are customizable, just so that you can track things as they're moving through the process. So if I want to change this from remarketing to marketing, I could do that, or just add new ones in. And then we have our progress bar on the far right. So that will start to fill up as questions are being answered in the intake by the agents, the clients, the AI tools, integrations. And if you are going to share questions with a client, you'll get notified in a few ways. One will be here in our notification center, where we'll get a pop-up letting you know when someone started working on something or submitted it back for review. So there's our example of the Chicago Bulls right there. We got our pop-ups letting us know that they've interacted with that intake and sent it back. You'll also get a pop-up next to the submission letting you know that is review ready. But from there, I want to jump over to our insureds page, where we're going to have our clients stored. Now, there are going to be a few different ways you can add insureds in. So one would be manually just entering some basic information to start off. But two is going to be through our integrations. So we integrate with a variety of different agency management systems, CRMs, where you can pull contacts, clients into the system, one of those being Agency Zoom. So we'll see here, if I look at my inbounds, we got the Chicago Bulls just popped in as an inbound. And here's one I did a little bit earlier today, San Diego Sunglasses. You might have saw them pop up over in Agency Zoom. But one of the things that we've done here that I think is, in my mind, very useful when it comes to dealing with duplicates in CRMs or agency management systems is, if I want to send someone that I created in Sembley back over to Agency Zoom, I can hit this button here, and it will tell us if there are any existing leads or customers found. And then from there, you can configure what you need to configure in terms of sending that back over. But I want to jump into one that I had set up for today, San Diego Sunglasses. As I said, you might have saw them pop up in Zoom. And we're going to start off looking at this client profile, where we're going to see that Agency Zoom import updates button there. But jumping into the profile itself, we'll have an overview of the basic information, the contacts that we have over at that company, any addresses that we have for the company, policies, drivers, vehicles, premises, equipment, claims, hazards, employees. All that will be stored right here. And the information that you edit on the client profile will be reflected back in your Accord forms and sub apps as well, and vice versa. Jumping up, we have our sign option, where we can see any signature packets that we have created for them and that have been signed. Then we can also see the documents that we have uploaded for that client and the submissions that we have created for them. Now, when you go to create a new submission, all you have to do is hit new submission. It's going to pop this up and you can name it whatever you want and hit save and it will open that up. I'm going to jump into one that I had set up here. And the first page that we're going to see when we open up a brand new intake will be prompting us to add in our forms. So for this one, I kept it pretty simple. I added in a 125, a 127, and a 140. I'm sure that everyone on this call is no stranger to dealing with these exact forms right here. Now, what Sembley will do is it's going to take all of the questions from all three of these forms, build those into one singular intake. When filled out, we'll populate the forms. Now, I'm sure, as you know, between these forms here, you have a pretty good amount of repeat questions you're going to have to answer over and over again. And then when you get into the weeds of sup apps, that number of repeat questions even go up. Being that Sembley is built on a single source of truth, we only need the answer for a question once, and we will populate that across all of your forms at the same time, just so you don't have to rekey that data over and over again. Now down here, we're going to have our available forms. So we'll have all of the accords for you in here. And then when it comes to the carrier apps, you can filter by the carrier that you are quoting with. We're going to have a few hundred different carriers to choose from. Filter by the category of those forms as well. And then by the type, whether it's an accord, a supplement, or a custom intake that you've created. But jumping into the intake here, the first page we're going to see is our document AI tool. So this is a very exciting thing. And one of those things that, with that development of AI, we were able to build out. It allows you to take any documents that you have in relation to the client. So think deck pages, loss runs, SOVs, schedules of information, drop that in here. Our AI will read through it and find any data on there that can be used. So one of the things I dropped in today was a vehicle schedule, just a small Excel spreadsheet with a handful of vehicles and their information on there. And I do see a question just popped up in the chat. Mike Sharp asked, if we are not quoting a specific carrier, but to an MGA or a GA, is that an option in the forms? Yes, that is. We do have MGA forms in there. So if you guys needed us to quote through those, you could absolutely do that. So look out for those. And we're always able to add in forms for certain MGAs or carriers that you guys are working with as well. Now, back to that document AI piece. So I uploaded this vehicle schedule. I'm going to jump down to my vehicles and drivers here. And we are going to import some data from that document. So if we go to import from documents, you'll also see there's the option to import from Agency Zoom, and Canopy Connect is another integration we have. So you can import from various agency management systems, CRMs, different softwares. But for this one, we're going to import from the documents. And I'm going to select this vehicle schedule here and hit import. And now what Sembley is going to do is it's going to read through that document. It's going to find any of the data on there that can be used on this intake. And then we can hit this import button and it's going to format that information and pull that right in. We'll see that populate onto our intake and of course end up on our 127 at the end of the day. And here we go. So we see we have two vehicles that just pulled in off that spreadsheet, which just makes that process a little bit easier. I'm sure that everyone here has been sent a schedule of a ton of vehicles or drivers, whatever it might be. This can really help to streamline that process of getting that right onto your intake without you having to key it yourself. And then showing off that Agency Zoom integration a little bit, I'm going to import a driver over from Agency Zoom here. And we'll see we have one driver pop up and I'll hit this import button here. And now we've pulled them over from Agency Zoom. And as mentioned, the same can be done with various agency management systems as well. Now, jumping over to the questions. This is how we're going to format our questions here in the intake. We've tried to make this as modern and user-friendly as possible. Now, while you're in here, if you ever need to add or remove any forms, you can hit this add forms button, and here you can add new forms in or remove forms. And while that sounds like a very basic function, I always like to highlight this because I am sure that a lot of people on this call have been in situations where you send your accords over to the carrier, the wholesaler, MGA, whoever it is, and then they come back to you and say, all right, great. We're ready to go. We just need you to fill out this SUP app and you are back to square one, filling out an app from scratch. What you can do here with Sembley is go back into your intake where you've completed those accord forms, add that SUP app in. And when you do that, any of the information that overlaps between what was already filled out on the accords and what was being asked on that new app you added, that's just going to pull over and pre-fill that app. And I don't have to tell you guys, some of the SUP apps I look at, I feel like 60% of the questions were already answered on the accord forms anyway. So it can really help to streamline that process of getting that information in. Saw another question pop into the chat, so let's take that.
Yep, another one from Seth here.
So Seth said, when we send a client from Agency Zoom to Sembley and update details in Sembley, does it update the info back into Agency Zoom? Yes, you can sync that information back into Agency Zoom.
Yeah,
So
their integration is really great, you guys. Those things like syncing information back and forth and the duplicate check. We wish that all of the companies integrated with Agency Zoom would take the time to build those things. Most of them do not, but they did not skip or they didn't skip any steps or take any shortcuts. They really built a beautiful integration with the system.
we had a good partner to give us some advice on how to best do that.
It was a very fun call.
So jumping into a couple of the other tools we've built in, one of them is going to be our company intelligence tool. So if I click these stars here, I'm going to be able to pull some information on that company. I don't know if San Diego Sunglasses is a real company. I made them up. So let's see if we are able to pull anything.
I feel like it's got to be something close, right?
It might be something.
I'm sure they saw a ton of sunglasses in San Diego. You guys, that AI tool where you can upload like past documents that you've filled out and get that information to Sembley, that is huge. There are a lot of other form systems, but to create your client database is a lot of the work. Like to get the information in to whatever platform you're using is very time consuming. Any of you that have implemented, new AMS systems or CRMs understand how hard it is to transfer data. But when they built that AI tool where you can just upload those docs and let it pull information, such an amazing way to get started with Sembley very quickly and easily with your clients.
Yeah. And if you have your old Accord forms too, you can drop those in and it will pull, if you have like an editable Accord form, you can drop that in. We'll pull all of the data over. And that way you can just do a renewal easily in Sembley, or maybe it's a remarket. You got to change some information on there. It can be a big time saver. One tool,
question, Joe,
yeah.
I had on that, but I just thought of, can it pull anything like handwritten or is it just text?
That is a tough question to answer. So it can, if you have
Depends on
great
your handwriting.
handwriting.
Yeah.
I've seen some people upload things and it works perfectly fine with handwriting. I've seen some people upload things and maybe not so much. It really depends. If you got neat handwriting and your second grade teacher gave you an A in your handwriting class, then you might be in good shape, but otherwise, maybe not. But it does work with a whole bunch of different file types. It's pretty much file agnostic. You could take a picture of someone's deck page on your phone and upload that in. I've seen agents do that when they're doing meetings out in the field. You can take a picture of someone's license and upload that as well. It'll be able to pull the information. So it can work with a lot. So feel free to if you're on a free trial Sembley, or if you want to do one, feel free to test that out and play around with it. Now, one of the tools, our enrichment tools that I know is going to work is our property intelligence. So if I'm going to an address, I'll see those stars pop up again. And when I click that, we are going to pull this property data for you. And from there, you can hit this import button and that will drag that information into your intake, which will end up on your forms at the end of the day. Now, there are a couple of customizations with the Accord and supplement-based intakes here. One of those being that you can add notes onto a question. So maybe you have a question that's a little confusing, or there's a certain way you want that answered for underwriting. You can add a note in here to give that client some guidance on what they should be filling out. You can also save default responses too. So we were talking about when we were agents filling out Accord forms, Mariah, one of the things I used to do was those yes, no questions on the Accords. I used to just check most of those no, and I think a lot of people are still doing the same thing. You can save those no's as a default response here. So those will pre-populate onto any Accord form that you work on moving forward, just so you don't have to go through and answer those all over again. And then when you are sharing these with your clients, there's a couple of options. So one is going to be flagging questions. So that is like cherry picking a handful of questions you want to send over. So maybe I want to flag 5, 10, 15 different questions. And then when I want to share that, I'll click share, choose only share flagged questions, and send that out for my client to review. And that will be a condensed version of that intake with only the questions that you checked off. I see that becoming very popular with renewal workflows where you might only have a few pieces of information to update year over year. People will flag those questions and then send them over. The other option is sending over a more comprehensive intake, but hiding certain questions. So a question like, how frequently do you expect the policy to be audited? Probably don't want to send that one to your client. They do not like that word audit. So what we can do is hide that question from the intake. And when you hide a question once, it will hide it on any future intakes that you work on. So that allows you to build a template of those questions that you know you're going to answer versus what you'll send over to your client. Then when we go to share our intake, we will have to select our contact. And then there's a shareable link that we can copy and send out through email or text. There is a client portal invite for clients who prefer a password protected portal. And then there's an email that you can send right through Sembley. So we have some sample messaging in here. You could take this out, type in whatever you'd like. And then we also have customizable email signatures. And when you send this, it's going to show as if it's coming from your email. So that will be familiar for the client. And then we also have these automated reminders that we've added in. So everyone knows it can be a headache tracking down a client for information. You can set these reminders to go out every few days just to remind them, hey, please get this information back to us when you get the chance. Now, once you are done and you have sent your intake over to the client and they have answered what they need to answer, you filled in what you need, and the AI and integrations have pulled in information, you can jump down to the Forms tab here, and all of the answers that were provided are going to be populated right here onto your forms. So we'll see we have these questions all filled out on this 125. Now, as I'm going through and making my reviews, let's say I notice there's a typo. Let's say it should be San Diego Sunglasses ink, and I forgot to put the ink in. Well, I can change that here in the 125. I can go back into my intake to do that, or change it on any form. So let me jump to the 127, and I will change this and add in ink. Now, when I do this, it's going to update across all of our forms at the same time. So when I go back into my intake and I look at my 125, I will see this has changed over, just saving you guys from having to go from form to form to form to make one little change when you can just make it in one place. Then once you're done here, depending on your integration, you can send the forms, the information back over to your AMS. You can download the form packet, or you can send it out for signature with one of our newer features, which is Sembley Sign. So if we click this here, we're going to be able to start creating this signature packet, and we'll see we have our accords in here. You can reorder these whatever way you want. I know some people like to order them in specific ways. And then you can also add in additional documents. So maybe I want to add in a BOR. I'll add that in, and that will be able to be sent out to be signed alongside those accord forms. And then I can go to the next page, select my contact, and then we will generate the signature packet here. So one of the cool things we did with our e-sign is we've worked in a little bit of AI to go through the document and actually place the signature fields, the date fields for you. So if we scroll down on my 125, we should see that those signature boxes will be placed, just saving you guys from having to go through from form to form. And then when we send that out, we can track that over here in the sign tab. So if I go over and look at any old signature packets I've done, when I click on this, I'll be able to see when it was sent, viewed, opened, signed, and completed. And then we can also download that, of course. And I know a lot of people ask, you will get a little audit giving you timestamps of when people signed it, when they opened it, when they viewed it. So I know some carriers are asking for those these days. And then you can also send it directly to the carrier through Sembley. So if we are going to create our carrier contacts in here, you can create your storage of carriers, and then you'll select one, and we'll generate a little email, which you can take this out. We put a little text in there for you to start off with, but you can have that say whatever you want and then send that out for your carrier. And that is just about everything there. So I know we went through a lot in a short amount of time. I want to open that up for any questions that anyone might have about Sembley, the workflow, the systems, the integrations. Happy to answer any questions you guys have.
Awesome. Yeah, it does so much. But you guys have just built such a simple way to utilize the system across the board, and it's so intuitive. While we kind of ask and wait for a few questions to pop in, could you go back to the agency Zoom view? I wanted to kind of have you open up that lead for the Chicago Bulls that you pushed in, and open that up and kind of take a look at the information that was there.
So I didn't fill out much on them.
Oh, you're right. On this one, there wasn't one. Do you have one in here where we could kind of see where it does like the link and the notes?
We can, let's see, I believe we should.
Putting you on the spot. Wasn't in the agenda. Mike asked, do we need a user for everyone in the agency for Sembley?
So the pricing is per user, but that does not mean that you have to add a user for everybody. You guys have full control over how many users you're going to have. You know, sometimes you have an agency where you might have 20 employees, but there might only be 3 people that work on the commercial side. So if that's the case, then you would add 3 people for commercial and the other 17 people wouldn't need a seat. And then Nick just asked, is there a max number of signature envelopes allowed? No, there is not. We have no limitations on the amount of intakes you can create, how many forms you can have, or signatures. So that's open to however much you guys want. And then Seth just asked, are the Accord forms saved in AZ, or do they save in or stay in Sembley? They do not push over to Agency Zoom right now. The forms would be saved in Sembley, but depending on what agency management system you have, most of our agency management system integrations, you'll be able to just send the forms back into your AMS as well if you'd like to do that.
Yeah, and I would definitely discourage anyone from using Agency Zoom as a file depository. It's just not built for that. Every time you open a file in Agency Zoom, it downloads that file to your computer. So it really isn't storing it within the system for you to access it. So while that can be helpful, there is a link that Sembley will put into the notes so you can easily navigate from Agency Zoom into Sembley. That is part of their integration, but really you shouldn't be keeping files in there. If you're keeping any files, maybe like deck pages on, for leads, like people that you're quoting against, that's fine. So you're just kind of using it in the sales process, but I wouldn't necessarily keep like full file stacks in here. There's not folders, it's not very easy to organize, it's just not built for that functionality. He was saying that his AMS is QQ Catalyst.
So not quite yet with QQ, but we've partnered with Vertafore a few months back and started with AMS 360, worked our way to Agency Zoom. I think a QQ integration will be coming in the not too distant future. And being that we can do that with AMS 360, I don't see any reason why we wouldn't be able to send that over to QQ.
Yeah.
I'm going to see if I can find one in here that might have some notes on it.
We were working on San Diego Sunglass. I wonder if that had pushed anything over.
That one I
That
just created, but I can do this. I could share this intake if I want to go back in, and I'm just going to send an intake to San Diego Sunglasses, and I believe that will create a note back within Agency Zoom. So if I want to select.
I was really impressed at how quickly you guys built this. It was like we did a call and I swear it felt like 2 weeks. It was probably longer, but it felt like 2 weeks later, you're like, hey, we're ready to show you guys what we built. We're so excited to see it.
Yeah.
It was fast.
We got a quick moving team. We're lucky to have a really, really great team that works very fast. And it was easy with the direction that you guys gave us. So we saw that we just shared an intake with San Diego Sunglasses, and now we'll see we have our notes pop up here with those links for the submissions. It's exactly what Mariah was talking about. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I know you guys are big on your notes and having everything all tied together. So it makes that a little bit easier with those automated notes that would push right in.
Yeah, that account history, being able to see everything that's going on in those prospects and customers in one place is so convenient.
Yeah.
Across the board. So I know when I first got an Accord, because I was a captive agent, right? So I was used to like applications, and then I started writing outside business and started looking at Accords and thinking, oh my gosh, like what is this thing? It was so confusing. I didn't know what to put in it and not put in it, and had to go do some training on Accords and whatnot. It was pretty nuts. And like I said, there was some old, ways where you could just like tab through the fields and fill in information. I thought that was really, efficient back then. I could like tab and type instead of having to like click and type or manually write it out on paper. So thinking about the speed to which you could do applications for multiple carriers as you're reshopping clients or just shopping initial prospects is kind of crazy. What are some of the things that you're hearing from agents that have been using the system for a while? What are they seeing as far as like results?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are seeing just the speed in which you can work your way through a package of Accord forms. I mean, especially when you're dealing with a lengthy submission, you're able to work your way through so much faster. I'm hearing from people that their renewal processes are also becoming much more efficient. Instead of having to be all over the place and have things be fragmented, you can just go and pull all of the data from the previous year into a new renewal. So let's say I want to create my 2025 renewal packet. I'll pull the data over from the previous year and then select the points that I need to update information on, share those with the client when I flag those questions and have them update that information or confirm that it hasn't changed. So we're seeing those renewal processes as well as those new business processes really get refined. In addition to that, everything working with these integrations and having that information flow through each of these systems, just so you're not having to rekey the information over, has been very useful to a lot of our agents. And then one of the newer things is we've done a V2 with our custom intake. So we've added a lot there. And with that, and with creating the embed code and more customization that we've added in, we've seen a lot of people using that to embed in their website, is that get a quote area where now you can click in, and instead of just having that information go in an email or push to one place where maybe it's static information, it can go into Sembley. You can push it through integrations into different systems. You can create Accord forms and sub apps with that information as well. So there are a handful of areas that we're seeing people really get a lot out of Sembley, and we're happy to keep building and making that process a little bit easier for people.
Well, so Sembley was originally really created for commercial, right? All the applications and accords. But with custom, you could use this for personal lines. I mean, you could use it for Medicare, life. I mean, actually, I guess maybe that's a question. Can you use it for Medicare? Is it HIPAA compliant?
So with the intakes that we have here, I mean, you can create those portals where it has to be password protected, which helps a little bit with that security side of things. And then you are also able to put disclaimers in here as well. I think we actually did a few with Tiffany for SMS. From your team. So you can really build them out to have whatever you want. I mean, if we look into the library, we're going to see that we have some personal lines templates in here as well. We also have the personal lines accords. I know that there are some states where people are using accords for personal lines probably a little more than others. So you can use this for that as well. We're starting to see a big uptick in people using this for personal lines with the side of the system that can be so customized. So it's we're definitely working our way in that direction of being able to do more on the personalized end of things.
Well, and that's been a big issue with a lot of the systems that we have, utilized in the past, and companies that we've talked to, is they have been very segmented between personal and commercial lines, and you kind of have to have a solution for both, right? You have to have one for personal lines and one for commercial, and for multi-line agencies, that can be very a big disadvantage, I guess, because not to mention you're having to buy another system, but you have to integrate another system, train your staff on another system. And when you can do everything in one place, it really simplifies your operations. I mean, the sky's the limit with those custom forms. I mean, you could even just build, like a lead capture form. You're going to a home and garden show, or you're working with, a lending office, and you want to create like a referral form. It can push that in. And the fact that you guys have those integrations is absolutely huge, because we build custom integrations all the time for people because the lack of integration between platforms. But whenever you can, find a solution that has a native integration. That is always better for your business. Less likelihood of it to break and less maintenance. All of that is very, very true. I wanted to ask you a question about, I asked all the form companies, right? You can sign them, but can you collect payments?
Not yet, but you and I don't want to put too many details out there quite yet. That was something that you had brought up to me very early when we started speaking. There were a few things that we wanted to get in a row first before that, but I have some calls in the very near future that should be making that hopefully available in let's just say the near future. So that will be coming to Sembley soon.
I may have done that just to get it, documented that you were working on it.
Yeah, there we go. Now you got a timestamp. This is going to be saved forever.
I'm gonna go on YouTube.
Yeah,
Now you got to do it.
We got to live up to it now. So,
yeah.
But
I will say that that's a miss in a lot of form systems, right? Especially with commercial, because now you've got them to fill everything out, you get them to sign. Of course, what's next is take payment. And that's just that ease of workflow, right? One less thing for you to have to manually add. Super excited to see what you guys come out with to make that even easier for agents. Speaking of that, of course, that's on my wish list for you guys, but what do you have roadmapped maybe for the next quarter, or kind of looking into 26? What are some of the things you guys have your eye on?
Yeah, so one of the big focuses for us over the next quarter, it's not as exciting, but it is necessary, is going back and revisiting features and integrations that we've already built and just making them as strong as we can make them. So we're going to be diving back into a few things and adding additional functionality within various different features. One of the more exciting things that we are planning on building in the near future, maybe end of this quarter, maybe Q1, is going to be the ability to generate proposals for your clients through Sembley. What we see here is that we have all the information that you need for a proposal. So we want to be able to create a smart AI tool that is going to be able to just generate that proposal for you. Of course, with some customization available on the agent side as well, but taking all this information that you've put in here and really doing something with it beyond just your record forms and your applications and pushing it to your other systems, but creating that proposal, having something really nice that you can get out to your client without you having to sit there and hammer away at the keyboard and actually create that yourself. So that will be probably the next fun feature that we have coming out, and the team's very excited for that one.
That's awesome. It sounds like Seth's excited for that too. Proposals is amazing. I used to, type out an Excel sheet, like a side by side, and
Yeah.
just like break down coverages took so long. These are concepts and things that agents have been doing for so long in the industry, right? But just very manual. And that's where the excitement around AI comes, because you can get that same result in a fraction of the time. I mean, in today's world, I use AI for something, it'll take me maybe an hour with AI, where it used to take me 2 or 3 hours, several days, over several weeks to accomplish the same result. So the ability to grow our businesses at a faster rate, provide quicker customer service, a better client experience. I mean, think about, being able to create a beautifully created proposal with every single client, because you don't have to pick and choose. Like, well, this client, I could justify spending the time, but this one, not so much. You can really deliver a better client experience to everyone you're talking to without it taking you so long to do it. That's a really cool update that you guys have coming. Anything else that you guys are working on?
That's the big one right now that's going to be coming soon. We're going to be going through and doing those V2s. We have some things that are we're hoping that we can do, but I don't want to talk about them yet. It's the type of things where it's let's see how AI is doing next month and seeing if we're going to be able to accomplish that in a reasonable time. But that is the big one right now. But that being said, anyone out there, if you have suggestions, we are all ears. We only build features that agents are requesting. We don't want to build anything that you guys don't think you're going to use. So if you want to test out Sembley and you have some feedback for us, we are happy to hear it. We are all ears.
Yeah, and these are the best solutions, you guys. This is why early on I loved partnering with Agency Zoom, because everything that they did was user feedback based, and that's why that platform is so popular. And when the founders and the developers kind of have the ability to step back and say, you know what, the people using this every day are the ones we need to listen to. That's not really very common in the tech space. I can just tell you that a lot of times they want to give you what they think you need versus what you ask for. And I love that that's part of your culture. And I know that's why you guys are going to be so immensely successful beyond what you already are. So we talked about some of the things that are coming down the road. You mentioned AMS integrations, but I wanted to go back to that because we didn't really talk about the ones that you do have integrations with. So can you let us know who you do have those with now?
Of course, yeah. So right now, here's our little page breaking everything down. We have our native integrations with Momentum, formerly known as NowCerts. We have a native integration with Hawksoft, AMS 360, Agency Zoom, and Canopy Connect. These are some of our best integrations that we have. I mean, these are really fantastic. We also have Zapier integrations with Easy Links, Agency Block, and then if you guys know Zapier, you can integrate with just about anything. And I know that your team, they are wizards with those integrations, so you guys are able to really make anything work. But these are the integrations that we have right now, and we're always pushing to add new integrations. So keep an eye out for anything else that might pop up on this page here.
I have to say that I also absolutely love that you guys use the original Agency Zoom logo.
Yeah.
I don't know if you did that on purpose, but I have like a shirt and a mug with the original logo. My logo is kind of based on part of that. And of course now it's been repurposed to Vertafore, but I just love that it's the original one. Brings me back.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I like that logo a lot. I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, so I think that's why we had that one in.
Easy Links is always tough. I know you said you have some integration there. Just for anybody listening back to this, just know that anytime you hear somebody saying that they're trying to get a better integration with Easy Links, it's never the company. It's not Sembley, it's Easy Links. Yeah. And if anyone from Easy Links is listening to this, please change your culture and get more friendly to integration because so many people want to work on your platform to help your users, but it is hard, right? It's a hard one to integrate with.
It's tough. I wish we could do more because there are a lot of people out there using Easy Links, and I think there are a lot of ways that we can help the Easy Links users. And it's we wish we could do more. We really, really wish we could do more. But who knows? Maybe one day we'll see. Maybe like she said, if there are any Easy Links employees over there, give me a call. I'm very happy to talk with you guys.
Yeah. And if you guys use it, put some pressure on them, right? Like, hey, we really need you to like open up because no one company can provide all these solutions. I know that all of us deep down wish there was like one insurtech platform that just did everything that we all loved. Never going to happen, by the way. But the ability to integrate is really where you get that power, and these native integrations is really helpful. So it is why, more and more people choose these platforms that are more integration friendly. Okay, so for the users, for the people that are here on the call, please take this time to ask any questions. And then while you're thinking of those questions and typing them in, Joe, who is this best for? Like, do you have to have 15 employees to justify Sembley? Like, what kind of agents should be really considering this platform?
The range of agencies that we work with, it spans so wide. We have agencies that are one person working from home, and they're using this because it is a time saver. And when you're a one person agency, time is key. It's very important. You have to make sure that everything is being done efficiently. So it makes a lot of sense there. But then on the complete opposite end of the spectrum, we have agencies that we work with that have 70 offices across a handful of different states, and it's working for the same reason for them. It's simplifying intake, it's saving them time, it's giving them one area where they can do all of their forms. So the range is pretty wide in terms of the size of the agency. But I would say anyone who is looking to simplify the information of the process of gathering information from your clients and then what you do with that information, this is going to be something that might change your life a little bit, hopefully.
I have to think that on the other end too, I don't know about you guys, but I've been working at a desk since I was, 18 now, when I started. So it's been 20 years because I'm 38, 20 years at a desk. I think of this as saving your carpal tunnel. Think about how much typing you're saving. I use an ergonomical keyboard, an ergonomical mouse. I mean, this is just reality, right? We are on our computers so much. To be able to just like upload another app and have that information fill in and maybe have to answer a handful of questions versus like 50 questions, that is going to prolong my carpal tunnel.
that might be our new slogan. Saving
Yeah.
carpal tunnel. Yeah. Sembley saving you from carpal. It kind of has a ring to it. I like it.
It could be like ergonomical data or like, something like that. Because the ergonomical thing is all about saving. I don't know. We're just getting off on a
We'll
tangent.
workshop it. We'll workshop it.
Yeah. All right,
good.
guys, I don't see any questions in the chat right now. I think that probably the last question on everybody's mind is like, how do they sign up? How do they get started? And maybe pricing, if that's something that's standardized. I don't know the answer to that, but.
So pricing, we'll jump over to that. Now we do have a few plans here. We have our standard, our plus, and our pro. And just putting it simply here, standard is going to be a little bit more bare bones assembly. You're not going to have the AI tools or the integrations. Plus will include your AI tools, but not the integrations. Pro is going to be everything. The Sembley sign is an additional $10 a month per user, just to throw that out there as well. On our month to month, which is a true month to month, it's, you're just pay monthly. You're not locked into a contract. It's $59 for the standard, $79 for the plus, and $99 for the pro per user. On the annual, which is just pay in full for the year, it would break out to $49 for the standard, $69 for the plus, and $89 for the pro. That being said, anyone in the accelerated automation community on this webinar here, you guys are going to get a 15% discount. Just make sure that you mention that when you book your demo, or if you mention that when you reach out and do the demo. Just we're happy to give you that 15% discount for the first year. And also, everyone does get a 30-day free trial. So if you want to take this for a test drive, play around with it for a month, see if it's going to be something that is going to be what your agency needs, happy to get you guys set up on a free trial. You can go to sembley.com to book a demo. There's a big book a demo button. Click that and you'll be talking directly with me. Outside of that, I am also going to drop in the chat my link so that you guys could book time with me as well. So That should be coming in just a second here. So feel free to book time with me using that link I just dropped in the chat as well. Happy to connect with everyone on the call, and any questions that you have, feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to drop my email in the chat as well. That's joseph@sembley.com. And yeah, reach out with me with any questions you guys have, or book a demo, and let's have a conversation.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. I really appreciate your time. They're saying not seeing the link. You shared it to host and panelists. Can you share it to everyone?
Yep. You know what? My mistake, everybody. Here, I'm going to put that in now.
I'll tell you guys, it's not easy to be like a guest on a webinar and like also chatting it and stuff. So it happens.
Here we go.
There we go. Now everybody can see it.
And there is my email. Sorry about that, guys.
Perfect.
But Mariah, thank you so much for having us on. We are so excited to be working with you guys. I think that Accelerated Automation and the team over at Sembley, we share a very similar mindset where it's like it's a very for the people type of thing, where we're just trying to both make this as easy as possible on agents, because we've been there and we know how tough this whole process can be. And I just really appreciate you having us on and being a partner of ours. We love working with you guys.
Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. It's definitely fun to try to push the industry in a direction that really makes it easier for agencies and for them to enjoy their business more and help more people. So absolutely love doing this with you. Thank you guys all for being here. The recording will be on our YouTube channel if you want to go back and review any of this, and reach out to Joe. You guys aren't going to regret it. I can tell you that they're really the only one that has this full customized like form piece right now. There are a lot of form systems out there, but the ability to build kind of whatever you want, and it's insurance specific, that is super unique. Very, very unique. So excited for you guys. Thank you again.
Thank you. And thank you everyone for coming. Have a good one, guys.
Bye.